Ladies and gentlemen, again, good morning to you all. Please keep standing as we sing the national anthem of our beloved country, Jamaica. Thank you all. You may be seated. Let me officially welcome you all to the launch of our population and housing census for 2022. Did you know that you count, me count, and all of we count, right? Exactly. And that is why we're here this morning. This is a national event. Please allow me to welcome our Prime Minister, the Most Honorable, Andrew Holness, representing the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Julian Robinson. We also have with us our Minister of Finance and Public Service, Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clark, Chairman of the Jamaica Institute of, let me get this correctly, please. I'm reading off my phone. I really should have had something printed. I think we're waiting on that. Chairman of the Jamaica Umbrella Group of Churches, Archbishop Kenneth Richards. Director General for the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Mrs. Carol Coy. Chairman of the Board for STATIN, Professor Alvin Wint. Specially invited guests, including members of the media and those watching us online on Facebook and YouTube, and also on the JIS website. Good morning. Let me again welcome you all to the official launch of Census 2022, Jamaica's 15th Population and Housing Census. I'm Debbie Bissoud, and I have the honor of being your moderator for this morning. As you are aware, the National Census is conducted every 10 years and is one of the most important sources of information for Jamaica. Now, this morning we will hear about the plans for this year's execution. And before we begin, though, I ask that you help me welcome Archbishop Kenneth Richards, Chairman of the Jamaica Umbrella Group of Churches, to bring the invocation. Please make him welcome.
I implore for you to stand for the prayers and the invocation. The 15th Population and Housing Census 2022 is a key statistical undertaking that is of great significance to our national development. The information to be collected will cover a range of data that are indispensable for assessing and understanding a socio-economic reality necessary for national strategic planning and organization. And so we pray, Lord, make this exercise involving collecting information from our men, women, and all persons of this nation an activity that will safeguard the dignity of each citizen. Therefore, regardless of race, religion, immigration status, may every person involved in this exercise act and be treated with respect, because we are all created in the divine image. May the underlying principles of this census rest on the fact of the dignity of every person created in your image. For our government, in acknowledgement of this fact, is making sure that every person must be recognized, acknowledged, and counted, so that planning can give due consideration to all the variables of the present reality for national organization and development. Lord, may our citizens cooperate with the census takers as a declaration that each of us are members and persons belonging to this nation with the need to be recognized, acknowledged, counted, and who refuse to be excluded. Lord, we implore your protection from danger for all the workers who will be traversing the communities, roads, streets, lanes, and residences throughout our nation. May they know your peace, which surpasses all understanding. May all the persons involved in this exercise be diligent and professional in carrying out their respective duties and see their involvement in conducting the census as a partnership with our government for promoting and safeguarding dignity, justice, and equity for the people of our nation. Psalm 24. The Lord's is the earth and its fullness, the world and all its peoples. It is he who set it on the seas, on the waters he made it firm. Who shall climb the mountain of the Lord? Who shall stand in his holy place? The man with clean hands and pure heart, who desires not worthless things, who has not sworn so as to deceive his neighbor. He shall receive blessings from the Lord and reward from the God who saves him. Such are the men who seek him, seek the face of the God of Jacob. O gates, lift high your heads. Grow higher, ancient doors. Let him enter, the King of glory. Who is the King of glory? The Lord, the mighty, the valiant, the Lord, the valiant in war. O gates, lift up your heads. Grow higher, ancient doors. Let him enter, the King of glory. Who is he, the King of glory? He is the Lord of armies. He is the King of glory. So, Lord, bless our land, bless our leaders, bless your people, bless our nation, and may this activity truly contribute to its advancement and development for the next 60 years. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Archbishop Richards. Please, ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated at this time. We'd like to correct an error that was made earlier on. Our director is Mr. David Tennant. The chairman, my apology, the chairman, let me correct that as well. Our chairman is Mr. David Tennant. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for those of us who have been following the announcement of our census, we would have seen that there were over 30,000 applications for workers, census workers, and we have arrived at just over 700 persons who will be carrying out this duty. 7,000, I beg your pardon. And I think that deserves a round of applause, because it means that we all understand the importance, of this to our nation moving forward. To tell us more about Census 2022, we do invite our chairman at this time, Mr. David Tennant, to come forward to officially welcome us all and to bring the official remarks.
Most Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Mr. Julian Robinson, representing the Leader of the Opposition, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clark, Archbishop Kenneth Richards, members of the Diplomatic Corps, international development partners, permanent secretaries, and other public sector representatives, members of the private sector, academia, and the media, good morning and welcome. It is a pleasure for me to welcome you to the official launch of Jamaica's 15th Population and Housing Census. Your being here is a show of support, collaboration, and partnership that is required to ensure that this important national exercise is a success. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica, STATIN, is the official provider of statistical information in Jamaica and has always provided a pivotal role in the collection, compilation, and dissemination of statistical information on the social, environmental, and economic conditions of the Jamaican people. This information is critical to the development of policies and programs aimed at improving the lives of Jamaicans. The Population and Housing Census is the flagship program of STATIN. Conducted every 10 years, the census is one of the most important sources of statistics in Jamaica and is relied on by policymakers, by entrepreneurs, researchers, civil society groups, faith-based organizations, the private sector community, and the general public to make informed decisions. This undertaking is in keeping with our mission to contribute to national development through the provision of quality statistics to enable effective planning and decision-making. The 2022 census stands out from previous censuses as STATIN has incorporated the use of technology in data collection and processing. Between September and December, over 7,500 census takers will be using tablets for the first time in the history of the census in Jamaica to administer the census questionnaires and record the responses from households. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a stellar example of STATIN's advancement in using technology to improve efficiency and the quality of the work that we do. The census is also a national initiative which is being supported by various ministries, departments, and agencies of government, as well as by international development partners, the private sector, the media, the academic community, and the wider society. I wish to commend the various local and international stakeholders who participated in many consultations at various points of the census planning process, many of whom are here today. I also want to commend the team at STATIN, who have been working tirelessly for the past 5 years to make Census 2022 possible. Thank you to our census field workers who will play an integral role in the census. And in the same breath, I wish to encourage everyone to cooperate with the census takers when they visit your house. I'm very excited about today's launch. Without giving much away, I'm looking forward to, among other things, moving and singing along with the official census jingle and the dance created and performed by one of Jamaica's most engaging entertainers. Historically, the census jingle is a hallmark of our mass public education campaign, which we'll be intensifying as of this week. And finally, I cannot take my leave without thanking all of our census partners who are collaborating with us to build awareness and to secure participation. To all the people of Jamaica, you matter in the census. You count, me count, all of you count. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chairman Professor David Tennant, for your opening remarks. And yes, we are all looking forward to what will be announced here this afternoon as we head into Census 20 this morning, as we head into Census 2022. And very happy that we are indeed engaging our people through the culture with the use of dance and music. Very also happy to hear that we have, of course, our field workers who will be assisted through the use of technology for effective work. And I'm sure they're very happy to hear that. And as our chairman did say, please, Jamaica, we ask that you be very accommodating to this process, because it is indeed important that we all play our part, our civic duty. And at this time, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue to hear more about the 2022 census overview, we ask at this time our Director General of STATIN, Ms. Carol Coy, to come forward to bring her remarks. Please make her welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Most Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Holness, representative of the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Julian Robinson, the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clark, Chairman of STATIN, Professor David Tennant, Archbishop Kenneth Richards, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning. What I'll be doing this morning is a presentation of the overview of the census so that you'll have an idea as to what we will be doing and how we have reached this point where we'll be doing data collection in September. Okay. So the 2022 population and housing census will be Jamaica's 15th population and housing census. The United Nations World Population decreed the period 2015 to 2024 as the current round of census. Okay. All right. And STATIN will be participating in this. So what is a census? A census is a count of the population living in a country at a point in time. It's not just the count, though. It provides social and demographic information, information on the housing stock of the country, information at the community level and on hard-to-count populations. It's the only data source that provides detailed information at the lowest geographic level. So the census provides data to inform government planning and policies, for example, where to build schools, hospitals, etc. It also provides information for businesses to make decisions regarding the population where they're living, their education levels. It also provides information for community outreach programs, for emergency response strategies, so for example, where persons are living. And if we look, as we say, Jamaica has been doing population. This is our 15th, and we have been doing populations from census from 1844. The 1943 census was particularly important because that was when there was a need for the count of the population for the country to undertake the adult suffrage. So a population and housing census is conducted every 10 years. And the last census was conducted in 2011. So the census was due in 2021, but as we all know, there was COVID-19, and so the census was postponed to 2022. As our chairman mentioned, we will be incorporating the use of technology, and one of this is the use of computer-assisted personal interviews. So we'll be using tablet computers to collect information. And the hope is that this will make the census more efficient and timely. The census is the largest statistical undertaking conducted by any country. The preparation for the census began in fiscal year 2017-2018. And there were a number of major planning activities. There was a mapping, because we have to map the entire country of Jamaica in what we call enumeration districts, and this allows us to move upwards in providing data. There were stakeholder consultations, and this stakeholder consultation especially was critical for the development of the questionnaire. So this started in 2019, and we would have had discussions with a number of various ministries, departments, and agencies of government, the private sector. We would have met with NGOs, including the churches, international development partners, and this would have contributed to the development of the questionnaire that we now have. After we did this, we, however, had to do pre-tests and pilot, because you had to pre-test the questions. So even after we have developed the questions, you have to make sure that the questions actually capture what it is that you hope to capture. We also did a pilot, which is a mini census, and this was to ensure that the processes that we have would be successful. And there's recruitment and training. As was mentioned, we have to recruit over 7,500 data collectors right across the country. We also are recruiting over 200 persons that will be involved in editing and coding, and there will be some data entry. Because as you know, because of the issue of security, we will have to use a few paper questionnaires. So an important day to remember is September 12, 2022. This is Census Day, and all the information collected will relate to this day. So, and this is 4 weeks and 9 days from today, so it is close by. So who will be counted? All persons who are residents of Jamaica on Census Day. So whether you are a citizen or not, if you are a resident in Jamaica on Census Day, you will be counted. Who will not be counted? So visitors to Jamaica who are staying in hotels or guest houses, even if they are here September 12, they will not be counted. Visitors on ships in harbor on census night will not be counted. Diplomatic personnel will not be counted. And critically, persons not normally resident in Jamaica, but who maintain summer homes, will not be counted. So for example, we have relatives who have home in Jamaica and they'll come back for about 4 months of the year. They will not be counted because they are not a usual resident of Jamaica. Where will we be counting persons? The main area will be your private home. So this is where we will be coming to count you. We will also be going to correctional institutions, to children's homes, infirmaries, drop-in centers, boarding and residential schools, university and college residents, military camps, police training school, police barracks, hospitals and homes providing specialized long-term care, persons living on the streets, so we will be counting persons living on the streets, and we will also be counting persons living on the quays. So the census questionnaire. So there are two main questionnaires. There's a household questionnaire and there's an individual questionnaire. And the topics included in the census questionnaire are guided by the UN principles and recommendations, but as I mentioned before, there was extensive discussions with our local stakeholders. So what will we be seeing on the household questionnaire? In the household questionnaire, we'll be looking at household composition. So these are the persons living in the household composition, who is the head of the household. We'll be looking at housing quality. We will also be looking at tenure of land and dwelling. So we will be getting an idea of if you're living on this house or on this land, what is your tenure? That is, if you're an owner, if you're living free, if you're a renter. We'll also be looking at solid waste disposal, source of water for domestic use. Migration and mortality is also important because this is one of the few statistical products that you can capture migration in and out of Jamaica and even within Jamaica. ICT access, and we would have known with the COVID-19, when we had online school, the issues that was faced by the ministry in getting persons to join ICT. So this will provide some information. On the individual questionnaire, and for each household, there's one household questionnaire. But for the individual household, a questionnaire will be given to every person living in the household. So if it's a child, then what will happen is that the adult in the household will respond to this. So we'll be looking at age and sex, religious affiliation and ethnicity, marital and union status, educational attainment, functional disability, economic activity and social welfare. So here we'll see employment, and as the critical use of this, when we do our labor force, we produce unemployment at the national level. Few times you can see it at the parish level. Here you'll be able to go below that and get that type of information. Fertility, which is critical for planning. Transportation, how do Jamaicans get around from place to place? Do they own their own motor cars? Do they use the bus? Do they use route taxis? ICT use, again, this will also be targeted at individuals. What are census data used for? As we said, policy making, planning, and for administrative purposes, research, and it is critical because STATIN cannot do everything. So once we have provided this information, we hope that researchers will now use this body of information to provide additional information for our policy makers. Business, industry, and labor, it's critical they can use this information. Demarcation of geographical areas. As I mentioned, we start data collection at what we call enumeration district level, and so this can be built to communities, it can be built to constituency, it can be built to parish, and then national. Sampling frame for surveys. As you're aware, STATIN undertakes household surveys such as the labor force and the survey of living conditions. Our sample frame is actually based on the census. So the older the census gets is the older your sample frame that the frame you're developing from is built on. So it's critical for us for STATIN to be able to provide up-to-date information that we update our household registers. Formulation of housing policies and programs. This is a critical information. You can use the census. And assessment also of the housing quality, because we will be looking at the housing quality, what the roof is made of, what its structure, their access to facilities such as bathrooms, kitchens. So how will we disseminate the information? Preliminary results will be available in the fiscal year 2023-2024. The results from the census are released in an anonymized way. And what we mean by this is that you will not be able to identify an individual from the data when we release it. And this is, STATIN is legally prohibited from sharing respondents' information with other government agencies or with anyone. That's a part of the Statistics Act and has been for some time. So census data are released at the enumeration district level, the community, the parish, national level, and we will be utilizing our website as the vehicle to release most of this information. I want to point out also that the census was actually a national initiative. So census is a stakeholder-driven initiative. STATIN collaborates with a number of stakeholders to develop key activities for the census, and I mentioned before the development of the questionnaire, which was from a broad cross-section. We work closely with the Social Development Commission because it's the first time the census will be providing data at a community level. So we worked with SDC to develop community boundaries. Because we're a statistical agency, it has to fit within certain parameters. So we work closely with them to develop communities. We also worked closely with eLearning Jamaica. eLearning was the agency that helped us with the procurement of the tablets. But what will happen, we have procured over 7,000 tablets. So after the census is finished, the tablets will be transitioned to the Tablets in School program. So we have signed a MOU with the Ministry of Education for the tablets to be moved over to the Tablets in School program. We got assistance from the United Nations Population Fund, from Statistics Canada. These were technical assistance. The National Spatial Data Management Branch, because as you are aware, we are using GIS to track the EDs, and they would have provided this assistance. Mona School of Business was also an important partner for us. Because of the COVID, we had to transition our training from a full face-to-face to online training, and Mona School of Business helped us to develop our online platform. So what is your actions? Your action this morning, we are STATIN is pleading with you to be counted, to encourage everyone to participate, and to tell you that all responses are confidential, and census data are important for the development of our community, our parish, and our country. Thanks.
Thank you so much, or Director General, STATIN, Ms. Carol Coy. Ladies and gentlemen, as Ms. Coy said, September 12th is the date where we will see our census takers or workers in action. We again want to encourage everyone to be counted, and we want to encourage you to encourage others to participate, and most importantly, that the data is secure, and it is absolutely important. As Ms. Coy alluded to earlier on, it is very inclusive, and also it is important that we understand where we are as a country as we fit policies, and we also help other agencies or government as well to help us. That's how we move forward. And ladies and gentlemen, talking about moving forward, as we know, culture is just the thing to mobilize us, to move us. And so for Census 2022, STATIN has put together a pretty interesting and entertaining package. At this time, please turn your attentions to the screen.
The National Census is an opportunity to help develop your community and create a brighter future for your family. The information gathered from the census is used to make important decisions about where to put facilities like clinics, stores, and new roads. So be seen and be counted for your family's future. Census Day is September 12th. Look out for the national census takers in your community and let them know you count.
But we do have the jingle. And we also have the gentleman behind the jingle who's also put together a very nice and catchy dance. We know that he aided in the release of some birds the other day at the Independence Gala. We saw that on national TV. And Chairman, we want to say that all the birds were collected and they were accounted for. Yes, everybody is back safe. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to put your hands together because we have a dance here that we're hoping that everyone at the end of it will be able to participate in. Please make them welcome, after which they'll be joined by the one, the only Lali.
Yeah. Good morning. Mr. Prime Minister, big up yourself. Good morning, everybody. So we made a jingle for the census. You guys want to hear it? Mr. Roberts, big up yourself as well.
Census.
Volume.
Watch a count, yeah. Watch a count, yeah. Hey, you count.
Me count. Census say all of we count, hey. You count. Me count. Census say all of we count, hey. Information needed to develop the community, them. Scouts them out and I get the report, so please don't hide when you see them. Hey, we start from east, hey. Then we reach our west, hey. The process easy, hey. Only please don't stress, guess what, hey. You count. Me count. Census say all of we count, hey. You count. Me count, census say all of we count, hey. You count, and me count, hey. Census say all of we count, hey. You count, and me count, hey. Census say all of we count, hey.
Give me some views. This is the Census 2022.
Yeah, can we go again? And you guys, can you turn it up? Like, why is it so
low?
We go again and you turn it up.
2022.
The Jamaican census will be conducted
Can you
between
turn it up?
September and December.
Census.
We go again.
Watch a count, yeah.
Turn it up, man.
Watch a count, yeah. Hey, you count. Me count.
Hey, census say all of we count, hey. You count, me count. Census say all of we count, hey.
Information needed.
Hey, to develop the community, them. Hey, scout them out and I get the report, so don't hide when you see them. Hey, we are gonna start from east, hey. Then we reach our west, hey. The process easy, hey. Only please don't stress, cause what, hey. You count, me count. Census say all of we count, hey. You count, me count. Census say all of we count, hey. You count, and me count, hey. Census say all of we count, hey. You count, and me count. Census say all of we count, hey.
Give me some views. This is the Census 2022. Remember, we use this information for the community and national development. Census 2022.
The Jamaican census will be conducted between September and December 2022.
Count, and me count. Census say all of we count. Respect.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Lali and the dancers. I wonder if we caught it. You count, me count, Census say. All right, that was a good rehearsal. Let's do it again. You count, Census say. And I saw our Prime Minister there nodding away. I think he was trying to count the steps like, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, Lord, we count. All right. So I'm asking our Jamaican people, you know, like if you can just bust a dance when you see our census takers on the road, you know, coming to your gate, just, you know, it shows that we're there for the same thing, right? So welcoming little gesture. Wonderful. Thank you so much, STATIN, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I ask that we all welcome to the podium Dr. the Honorable Nigel Clark, Minister of Finance and Public Service, to make his remarks. Please make him welcome, and maybe he'll do a little dance as well.
Most Honorable Prime Minister, he speaks after me, though, so that's a dangerous thing to do. Mr. Julian Robinson, representing the Leader of the Opposition, Archbishop, Chairman of STATIN, Professor David Tennant, and Carol Coy, Director General, other heads of agencies, chairman of agencies, members of the media, members of STATIN, good morning. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. A census is a very important undertaking in the life of any country. We will recall the first time we probably heard the word census was in Sunday school, because in the Gospel of Luke, the timing of the birth of Jesus was told from the context, or in the context of when the Romans took direct rule of Judea. And they undertook, the first thing they did, or one of the first things they did when they took over their rule, was to conduct a census. But censuses didn't begin with the Romans. If you go further to the Babylonians who preceded them, and possibly to other civilizations in Africa and Asia, censuses have been recognized as a fundamental tool of civilization, because without planning and without data, we can't have effective policy. Now, the work that STATIN has been undertaking, has been going on for some time. This is just the culmination of that effort. And all told, this is an exercise that costs approximately 2.4 billion Jamaican dollars. So not only is it a big deal, it's a big investment as well. Over 7,000 persons will be conducting the data collection exercise, and they'll all be paid. Importantly, we're drawing the census takers from areas that are close to the areas they'll be collecting data from. So they'll be familiar with the territory that they will be operating in. So whatever the local community norms and expectations are, we can have a good level of assurance that those will be observed in the process of collecting the data. Now, as Carol Coy made clear earlier on, the use of census data is instrumental. As Jamaica moves towards being a digital society or a digitized society, and it is significant that this is the first census that will be conducted using tablets, no paper. But as we move towards being a digital society, understanding the distribution of ICT access and use and prevalence is abundantly important. One of the things that we're experiencing now is tension in our society as that change takes place, with sections of the population having differential access opportunities for ICT, and therefore different levels of comfort. Don't want to step in ants' nest, but as we see financial institutions moving towards digital platform, if we, with census data, can show that, look, in Parish X, the use of ICT and the points of presence are particularly low, then trying to debranch in that parish doesn't make sense. If the data, right? So the data will be fundamentally useful and instructive as we go through this challenging task of digitizing our society, but also making sure that no person is left behind. As we move in our 60th anniversary to make Jamaica more resilient, it will also be critically important to get data on how people dispose of garbage, for example. How many people are still burning garbage? And we might be surprised that the number is still significant, which will tell you the work that we have to do in moving our society forward in that dimension. So the use of the data is instrumentally important. Now, it's critical to recognize that while the census day is on the 12th of September, the data collection will take place over 3 months. So the census takers will be going around between September and December, but the questions they ask you will be with reference to September 12th. So I ask you, no bother go out on the night of September 11th, or you forget what you do on September 12th. Because that is the day that they're going to be asking you. That's the reference date for the census. Now, with collecting data and statistics, STATIN, or Jamaica, is a signatory to the UN, the United Nations Fundamental Principles on Official Statistics. When data comes out sometimes some of us don't like it, including parliamentarians, including cabinet ministers. All right? Whether the data is on growth, or on unemployment, or on poverty. Everybody wants data that serves their particular interests. And STATIN is all often unfairly brought into that tension. But everybody, I use the opportunity to say that STATIN, Jamaica is a signatory to the United Nations Fundamental Principles on the Collection of Official Data, which is a 50-page document or longer, 60 pages, 70 pages, that details meticulously how every aspect of economic and social data ought to be captured, measured, analyzed, produced, reported on. And Jamaica is peer-reviewed by other countries to make sure that Jamaica adheres to what it has signed. And Jamaica also peer reviews others. As a result of that peer review process over time, there's objective data that supports the view that STATIN is the leading statistical institute in the Caribbean. And you give the ladies and gentlemen of STATIN a round of applause. In fact, we find it hard to keep people at STATIN. It takes 2 years to train someone to be an effective agent of STATIN, to be able to go out in the field and collect data that can be used in GDP or poverty or inflation or census and all the other things that they do. It takes 2 years to train them. But then Bermuda comes, Cayman comes, British Virgin Islands comes, and they're able to pay a little bit more than we do. And we often and we end up losing persons at more than we would like to. But the reason why they come to Jamaica, and these countries on the Human Development Index are far higher than ours, BVI, Cayman, all of them, but they come to Jamaica to recruit people from STATIN because Jamaica is recognized as the leading official statistical institute in the Caribbean. And please, again, hardworking people deserve recognition. Now, I want to offer some hope that with the compensation review, I'm hoping that the ground for recruiting will be less fertile. Ladies and gentlemen, me count, you count, all of we count. Let us make Census 2022 the most successful census ever. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Clark. I ask that you rejoin us here on this stage as we do the official signing. I ask also that our Prime Minister will make his way on up to the stage as well for the official signing. Our Chairman for STATIN, Professor David Tennant, and also a representative for the opposition, Mr. Robinson.
Just to point out that before any census can be undertaken in Jamaica, there's a legal requirement, and the minister in charge of STATIN is required to sign the regulations giving effect to the census. And so what we have this morning is Dr. Clark, who is STATIN's is the head of, is our minister, the minister we report to, is signing the legal documents that give effect so that we can do the census.
One more signature? All right. I can sign it over later. Right?
Yes.
Got it?
Thank you so much. We're good? Photographers got the shot. Great. Thank you so much, Minister Clark. Thank you, PM. Thank you so much to Mr. Robinson. And thank you to our chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we have a little engagement, and I really think it's a giveaway, literally a giveaway, because the question I need to ask will give you a prize, but the answer for the question is already on the screen. And the question is, what is the tagline for Census 2022? The first person to raise your hands and be acknowledged. You're right there, okay. That's fine. Please go ahead and take off your mask, and if you can for me, you can come on up to the stage so that our cameras can get you. There we go. I know you don't have a microphone. Do we have a microphone for her? Go ahead.
You count, me count, all of we count.
No, you have to go do the dance that Lolly shows as well. It only works when you have the dance in there, right? So you're going, yeah.
Hey, you count, me count, census say all of we count. Hey, you count, me count, census say all of we count. Hey, information needed.
She win. Congratulations, my darling. There you are. A gift courtesy of STATIN Don't worry. I believe at the end of the program, we'll have the dance down pat. We should be fine. Thank you so much. And as we keep the program going, ladies and gentlemen, representing the Leader of the Opposition, I invite back to the stage Mr. Julian Robinson to bring his remarks. Please make him welcome.
Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Minister of Finance, Dr. Nigel Clark, Archbishop Richards, Chairman of STATIN, the Director General, Ms. Coy, Chairman of other public entities, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm here to give the commitment of the opposition that this is truly a national effort. Not a government effort, not a partisan effort, but a national effort. We all recognize the importance of this exercise to policy formulation which, as the Minister says, should be driven by data. And it's often very frustrating for us to be asked questions. For example, how many people live in your constituency? And you look at the electoral roll and then you make an extrapolation. But the reality is we're guessing. Similarly, we have no real data on the numbers within specific communities. So it becomes very difficult to plan, and to plan in a way that we can utilize scarce resources in the most optimal way for our residents. So we are committed to this effort. We will play our role as an opposition to support STATIN. And I know there are areas that the data, the persons collecting the data may have challenges with. As representatives, while I know you don't want us to go out there with you, and I understand that, but we can also assist in that regard. So we are committed to this. We expect it to be successful. We expect it to better inform the decisions that we make as a nation, and this is an important step forward as we develop as a country. So the support of the opposition is fully behind Census 2022. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, before I take my seat, I will have to exit. It's not that I don't want to see the Prime Minister do the bird again or to hear what he has to say, but I do have a funeral for which I have to provide a tribute. So I will be leaving shortly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Julian Robinson, MP, and thank you for being here with us this morning and for conveying the commitment of the opposition to this national process. It is indeed very important that we all understand that it is a national process and includes everyone, regardless of wherever they are, and any prejudice, any affiliations. It is our process, Jamaica's process for advancement. And to tell us more about the importance of this data collection process and understanding what it means to our country as we move forward as a nation, please help me to welcome at this time our very own Prime Minister, who has promised not to release any more birds, the Honorable Andrew Holness. Please make him welcome.
Debbie, when you mentioned that there would be some dancing going on, I was saying, oh God, please don't let her ask me to come up on the stage. So I was very happy not to be called upon to release any more birds. But I was very happy to see Lale here with us, using the culture to garner the support behind such an important national endeavor. You know, our culture is powerful, powerful. And I learned how powerful it was when I attempted, and realized that I still have a long way to go. So I know that Archbishop Kenneth Richards, after he saw me do the birds, to release the birds, I know that you went home and tried to practice it, Archbishop, as a means of releasing more doves of peace. And Julian won't even bother. Julian, thanks for the support that you have given to the census. It is very important that the country recognizes that this is a national endeavor. Minister Clark, in his usually well thought out style, gave a kind of historical perspective regarding what a census is. It is biblical. It is. And for Jamaica, I was confirming with Minister Clark when I saw it that this is our 15th census. And we've been doing the census now, based upon the graph you displayed, Carol, for almost 178 years. That's how long we have been collecting data about our country. And we are therefore continuing a very important part of our civil bureaucracy. And I am hoping, Carol, that we will have the full participation of all Jamaicans in the census. Let me acknowledge the other members of public bodies who may be here, the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all. It is a pleasure to be with you this morning as we gather to launch the 2022 Population and Housing Census, our 15th census. Given the 10-year cycle, it would have been due in 2020, Carol, is it 2021? Yes. However, it was delayed, obviously due to the pandemic. A population and housing census is conducted to count everyone in a country on the census date. That means we're looking to, though we may not be taking the census on the 12th for everyone, but the 12th, as you have pointed out, is the reference date. And that way, it is a fairer, more accurate collection of the data as to what was your status as of that date, rather than your status on different dates, which might be different for everyone. But if you're focusing on a particular date, it gives more accurate and comparable, that's the word I'm searching for, more comparable data. It provides data on key characteristics of the people, such as the number, spatial distribution, economic activities, age, gender, household composition and living conditions, education, and internal and international migration, as well as other key socioeconomic characteristics. Knowing such crucial information is very important to all sectors when it comes to planning and implementation of socioeconomic policies that help in the development process. Official statistics support transparent and accountable evidence-based decision and policy making. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica, STATIN, an agency of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, was established under the Statistics Amendment Act of 1984. It is the principal agency responsible for developing and managing national statistics in Jamaica. Now let me join with the Minister of Finance in offering my own public commendation to STATIN. STATIN is one of our very strong institutions. And the census is one of the most important statistical exercises undertaken by a country. And we have a very competent body doing it. And I'll give you a little of my own personal experience with the census. My mother was a census taker. I believe she probably participated in about 2 censuses. And I recall I was very young when she was doing it. And she would have a big bag with all the questionnaires, and she would work. Obviously, she worked in the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. And then when she came home in the evenings, she would go out and do the census. It was quite an experience because I could begin to appreciate and understand how the community in which I lived, and I suspect it would be the case right across Jamaica, was very fearful of government interventions in their lives. You would hear people say, why not go and give no census because the government only doing it to come tax us? Why not giving any census because I don't know where they want to know about the quality of my house for, after them not help me. So from then I began to have a deeper appreciation of the gap between citizens and the state. Eventually people participated, eventually people gave the information, but there was always this reluctance operating in the back of the minds of the citizens about this effort of the census. So I'm glad you pointed out, Minister, that the census is almost biblical. It is something that every society, every civilization has to do if we are going to be able to serve the population. So this idea of a predatory government that you should try to hide from is something that we need to dismiss from our society and our thinking and our culture. Why is it that we need to do this? Now, as a politician, people only look at us, Nigel and Julian just left. Let me see if there are any other politicians in the room. There might be some closeted ones there, but they look at us as only seeking to be gaining votes and popularity. But, politicians are oftentimes also policy makers, especially if they form the executive of the country. And if we're going to make policy on behalf of the people, we can't just make policy on emotion, on what we feel is popular. We have to make policy on the facts. And I would give you an example. We launched a program called the New Social Housing Program. It's obvious that there is need for social housing in Jamaica to reach the people who have the lowest conditions of living. And we see it all the time. The newspapers now make it, a point of duty to highlight someone who is living in the worst condition because they know that the Prime Minister is reading the paper, seeing it, and is going to respond. But we ran up into a problem. It's a popular program. It is serving a need. But when we are coming to budget for the program, we really don't know how many such persons we have in the society. We really don't know. The last census, as you pointed out, Carol, the sample frame might be outdated, so you couldn't really use that sample frame to make an accurate prediction as to the numbers. We're using other metrics, so we have used the MPs to go out and to collect data, but they are not the best source of data to guide policy, but it does help because they are in the field, they are seeing what's happening, and we do take in applications. But it doesn't give us the true picture. So I've reached out today to STATIN to say, because this is also a housing census, please identify for us as you go through the field, help us to understand what percentage of our population lives in shelter that is absolutely at the lowest standard. Because once we have the data, then the politicians can sit down and say, is this something based upon the data that the government should take its budget for and seek to eliminate this problem or to tackle it in a significant way? Otherwise, without the data, we're just shooting in the dark and not being effective. So it is important that when the census taker comes to your community, that you embrace them and that you cooperate with them and give the necessary information. The government is not a predator on you. The government isn't seeking to make your life harder. The government wants to serve you better. And in order to serve you better, we need to understand your needs and your conditions. And that is why we are conducting this census. So, over 7,000 persons will be deployed island-wide to visit each household and complete a questionnaire. We will be counting persons regardless of whether or not they are citizens. The only criteria would be that they would have to be normally resident, meaning that they are living in Jamaica for more than 6 months, and they will be counted. We will be counting as well the institutional populations, and we will be counting persons who live on our streets. They will also be included in the census. And as pointed out, for the first time, we will be integrating technology at the point of data capture. We will be using tablets. My mother would have loved that because she then would not have had to struggle with the big bag of questionnaires. But I'm certain that the newly trained census takers would truly appreciate this new tool and how efficient it can be. I'm not certain whether or not it will be an instant upload or an upload after the fact, but whatever it is, it will certainly cut the time between data collection and data analysis. And that will, just be so fantastic in being able to have the information much more quickly than before. I'm also very pleased to see the thought that is going into this. So you're getting essentially over 7,000 new tablets for a single-use purpose. However, you're going to wipe those tablets, meaning that you're going to go through a process that will totally reset and clear any data that is on that tablet, and then you will put it into the schools. And I think that's an excellent move. That's how government should always work. I know there are always concerns about data privacy. And within the Act, there is provision for STATIN to treat all information confidentially. And the persons who are collecting the data are trained in this regard, and they have a duty to maintain the privacy of the information that they receive. And I would also say that the government itself recognizes that as we move towards becoming a digital society, the government itself must be the defender of the privacy and security of people's data, of the citizens' data. And I want to give that assurance that you may not see all that we're doing in the background, but the government has invested significant resources in the collection and storage of data, in hardening and protecting the data, and in putting in place the legal and institutional framework to protect your data. The truth is, no digital society can truly flourish without that guarantee of the protection of your data. I just want to say a quick point on that. There is the belief that your privacy is guaranteed if you are anonymous, that your privacy is guaranteed if you don't participate in the system. That is absolutely not the case. your privacy is guaranteed because the laws of the countries and the systems and institutions are in place to protect your data. That is what guarantees your privacy. And therefore, we urge you to participate in the system because the system is designed and built to protect your data. So, I don't think I have much more to say other than it gives me great pleasure to officially launch Census 2022. Me count, you count, all our we count.
Census.
Census.
What a count, yeah. What you count, yeah. Hey, you count, me count. Census say all of we count. Hey, you count, me count. Census say all of we count. Information.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, for your address and for showing us that you have caught the dance, Prime Minister. You have it. You have it. You did well. Thank you so much for charging us to play our part in supporting the transparent and effective future of Jamaica in the decision-making and policy-making process. And also, that if our government is to serve us, they need to know how to serve us. We always need things, and so we always cry out. We need things like we need a house, and we talk to the government all the time. We need a road, we need water, and even more so now, connectivity with internet to serve us. And so it is important that we all play our part so that we can be served and so that we don't feel like anyone is being left out of the advancement of this country. We also again ask that you embrace and welcome our census takers. So when you see them, don't shun them. Don't act like my neighbor who asked us 1 year to go out there to tell him that she's not there, because she thought it was somebody else trying to, you know, them knock on the gate and they said they want to talk to you about something. And she said, tell them that I'm not here. Well, please be there and please be present for this process because it is important. And as well assuring us that our privacy and security is protected in this process. And I know this is of big concern to us all as we understand, of course, what our data means. So thank you again, Prime Minister, for underscoring that our data, our privacy, is indeed protected. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of what has been a very informative launch. And before we go off for the rest of the day, I ask at this time that our Deputy Director General, let me make sure I get this correctly, for STATIN, Ms. Leisha Delati-Badir, she'll come forward to give us the closing remarks. Please make her welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Most Honorable Prime Minister, well, Mr. Robinson has left us, so Minister of Finance, Dr. Nigel Clark, Chairman of the Board of Directors, Director General Carol Coy, other distinguished guests, good morning. On behalf of the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, I would like to extend our gratitude for your support at the launch of the 2022 Population and Housing Census. This will be Jamaica's 15th census in this, our 60th year of independence. This, ladies and gentlemen, is truly a national effort as espoused by MP Robinson. To the people of Jamaica, we are requesting your support as the census is for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, the census is more than a count, as Ms. Coy said. It is where as a country, we take stock of social and demographic situation in the country. The census is critical to our development as we seek to reignite our country for greatness. We must make informed decisions. And as the DG said, the census is the only source of data for small geographic areas such as communities. Ladies and gentlemen, Census 2022 will be a special one. Our chairman indicated earlier, and also espoused by our Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, that this will be a digitally enabled census. Our census takers will be out in the field, in every nook and cranny, collecting the information on tablet computers. And of course, your information will be secure and safe. In the words of our Honorable Minister, Minister Clark, remember, ladies and gentlemen, the census is a big deal, right? Without planning and without data, we can't make effective policies. Now, we'll be collecting the data between September and December this year, and this data will be relative to Census Day, which is when? September 12. So you tell a friend, tell everybody, September 12. The census provides critical information for policy and decision making, not just by governments, but also non-governmental organizations. And to paraphrase something from the Prime Minister's speech, the census is something that we as a people need to do for effective policies based on facts and not feelings, right? Ladies and gentlemen, people of Jamaica, we urge you to cooperate with the census takers when they come to your house. Don't open the window and peep out and close it back, right? The census is for all of us. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you count. Say it with me. You count, me count, all of we count. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Director General for STATIN, Ms. Leisha Delati-Bodere. As we come to the end of this morning, thank you all again for being here with us. Please spread the word far and wide that on September 12th, we kick things off for Census 2022. It has been my pleasure to be your MC this morning. My name is Debbie Bissoon. Have a wonderful rest of day. And for those of us who would like to partake, there is refreshment on the outside. We ask that you do enjoy. And again, spread the word far and wide that you count, all our count. Blessings.
Census.
Census.
What a count, yeah. What a count, yeah. Hey, you count, me count. Census say all of we count. Hey, you count, me count. Census say all of we count. Hey, information needed to develop the community. Them scouts them out and I get the reports, so don't bother hide when you see them. Yeah, we are gonna start from east. Hey, then we reach a west. Hey, the process easy. Yo, wanna please don't stress, cause guess what? Me count, you count. Census say all of we count. Hey, you count, me count. Census say all of we count. Hey, you count, me count. Census say all of we count. Hey, you count, me count. Census say all of we count. Hey, census.
Census.
What a count, yeah. What a count, yeah. Hey, you count, me count. Census say all of we count. Hey, you count, me count. Census say all of we count. Hey, information needed to develop the community. Them scouts them out and I get the reports, so don't bother hide when you see them. Yeah, we are gonna start from east. Hey, then we reach a west. Hey, the process easy. Yo, wanna please don't stress, cause guess what? Me count, you count. Census say all of we count. Hey, you count, me count. Census say all of we count. Hey, you count, me count. Census say all of we count. Hey, you count, me count. Census say all of we count. Hey,
give me some views. This is the Census 2022. Remember, we use this information for the community and national development. Census 2022.
The Jamaican census will be conducted between September and December 2022.